Well, we want to challenge you in the next few weeks to a new insight in a spiritual growth project where Advent will have personal meaning and significance. The word Advent comes from the Latin adventus, which means arrival. It is a coming into view of something, usually referring to the coming of the Christ, traditionally, into the Mass of Christ or Christmas. And in other words, it's getting prepared for a personal experience or visitation of the Christ. In a metaphysical sense, it can, and I think should mean to all of us, an expectation of and a preparation for the coming into our consciousness of our own divine potential, our own Christ self. The word Advent has also given birth to another interesting word, adventure, with the connotation of risk or dare. If this season is to mean anything more than an annual holiday charade, which becomes a pressure-packed and conformity-ridden Christmas celebration, we must take the risk of personal commitment to the discovery of a divine level within our being. And it is this that we refer to as the great adventure of a lifetime. Actually, though man's achievements on earth have been great, and we like occasionally to pat ourselves on the back as a civilization for all of our great accomplishments. We have sailed the seas and tunneled deep into the earth, and we've soared at speeds faster than sound, and we've split the atom and journeyed to the moon, and who knows what else we may ultimately do. But the supreme adventure of all, the exploration into the depths of man's inner power, has lagged far behind. And it is probably true that this lack of daring relative to the inner adventure is basically the reason for all of the problems that face mankind in the world today. So when we talk about the adventure of life, we're not dealing with a flight into fancy, but with a very real process of harnessing the real energies of the universe as they come into focus in and through and as man. Now, the starting point of all this is the undisputable fact that you are. In all the world, there's no other person just like you. You are a creative expression of the infinite. You are you. You live, you exist, you throb. You are unique and different and wonderful. You are full of wonder. And it is this very wonder that is what Advent is all about. It is what Christmas is all about. The prophets of old said, "And ye shall call his name Wonderful," full of wonder. Now, those who feel that we spend a little bit too much time dealing with the divine potential of man, some say we ought to be trying to do something about the problems of society, about the difficulties of our cities, of our economy, of disease and of war and of man's inhumanity to man. But I think we need to take a good look at this. What is the purpose of creation? Is it the purpose of creation that we build tall buildings? That we create computers? That we have spaceships that go off into far-off space? This isn't the purpose of creation. This is an extension of the imagination and the creativity of man while he is giving expression to what he is. As the poet says, "Why build these cities glorious if man unbuilded goes?" The real goal of creation is you. And what this means is the full achievement of freedom and mastery of the individual. Every person is made for mastery. You are made for mastery. It's interesting that the word enthusiasm comes from the root Latin, which means in God. It also means on fire. So in a sense, coupling it together, it's on fire with God. When one brings all of the divine possibilities within himself into full focus, there is a combustion in his experience, and he becomes enthusiastic about life. Wherever you see true enthusiasm, you see a person who is in focus. He may not be aware of it, but there is a flaming up in his consciousness and in his experience and in his creative activities of that something which is the divine source flowing forth through him. On the other hand, when you get your thought on God, when you get centered in the awareness of who you are and become the projection of this divine process into visibility, then you are secure, you are confident, you are capable, you're in focus. And we're told, thou wilt keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on thee. Now, the adventure of a lifetime, the commitment to the discovery and the releasement of this inner fire, this divine self, begins right where you are, not somewhere else. We have a dear friend who has a lovely rustic retreat cottage out on Long Island Sound. It's an unbelievably beautiful and simple place. One can sit on the porch of this lovely site and reflect on deep pools of living water within. One can get beautifully in focus in this kind of a setting, as I'm sure many of you know. One day this friend was commenting out of a moment of inspiration while we were all very high on the vibration of the place. And she said, in deep simplicity and sincerity, you know, you could take a boat from the beach right there at our feet, and you could sail to anywhere in the world. Simple thought, naive, childlike, and yet a tremendous perspective. Because that's the thing that leads to the exciting, enthusiastic approach of truth in life. That you can begin where you are, right where you are, no matter what the past has held, no matter what you see around you in terms of difficulties, you can begin where you are and go and do and be anything that you can desire, anything that you can perceive if you can get yourself in focus. As God said to Abraham on the mountain, look from the place where you are to the north and the south and the east and the west, and all that you can see I give to you. Now, with many of us, there are some little reservations. We kind of look back with regret at the terrible toll of health and mentality through the years, and we may feel a little bit of shame over what we've done or what we haven't done with our life. We may feel regrets that we're not farther along than we are, but again, we find ourselves saying, but that's the way it is, what can you do? Now, the past can't be changed, but in consciousness, it can be restored. The problem is not in the experience. The problem is in the way we are still viewing the experience. This is why the prophet Joel says, I will restore unto you the years that the locust hath eaten. And the word restore comes from the Hebrew shalom, which means to be or cause to be completed, to heal, to make whole. There is always that within you and within me, which can see any and every challenge in the context of wholeness, to see the fullness of the experience beyond the temporary changing appearance. And the locusts that Joel refers to is the destructiveness of negative thinking. All of this can be restored, can be made whole. The negatives simply cloud the air, muddy the waters, distort the focus. So it's not the loss or the challenge or the failure or the hurts in your experience that take the toll on your life. It's the thought that you had about it and the thought that you now have about it. Your regrets, your fear, your feeling of shame. To restore the years doesn't mean that you can have them back, but it means that right now you can take the step in consciousness to bring them into context and to see them all as a part of the continuing experience of good, to become a part of the all things work together for good. And this is to get into a sharp focus. So the need is not to set things right, but rather to see them rightly. It's not so much what you see. When we say see them rightly, it's not a matter of looking around out here to try and see something in it, but right seeing is a flowing forth like a fountain of a living fire. And it's interesting that the word I In the Hebrew, as well as in the ancient Sanskrit, is the word ayin, A-Y-I-N, which literally means fountain. The eye is not that which reports that which is out here, and that's the way it is, and what can you do about it? The eye essentially has always been, though we're not always in focus to use it in this way, a flowing forth of an inner realization. Nothing has existence for you except that you see it, and as you see it, according to your perception, your consciousness, your previous awareness. So the point is, to see things right means to get a sharp focus with yourself, to flame up and shine from your own inner awareness of what you are, and then to see from that consciousness, which is to bring light and illumination wherever you are, and to enable you then to cause all things to be brought into the context of the full experience of your own unfoldment. So to get yourself in focus is to still the mind like a quiet room, like a quiet pool, I should say. When the waters are troubled, you can only see distortion, but when the waters are still, the pool becomes like a mirror. And if we begin with a troubled mind, then we're going to reflect and radiate a troubled consciousness. So the first thing is to be still, get quiet, get relaxed, get receptive. Let this inner fire flow up within you, regardless of what's out here, and let it be projected. And then when you begin your day, before you go out and see how things are, I wonder what's going on in the world, I wonder what's on the television, I wonder what the news tells about the world, I wonder what my boss is going to be like today, the first thing, you get still and turn on your own inner flame. And then you actually treat all these things to a daily dose of cosmic praise. And so when you go around seeing things, there's my boss today, I wonder what he's going to be like. You project a blessing to him without even thinking blessing, because the light of your own inner focus projects. And so it is with people, with situations, with the world in general, with your own physical self. The light of your own inner awareness flows forth and subjects all these things to a dose of cosmic praise. Certainly in the world you have tribulation, as Jesus says. There are many conflicts, difficulties out there if you want to deal with them. But the important thing is, before you get involved in them, get yourself in focus. Jesus says, in the world you have tribulation, but I have overcome the world. First of all, I've gotten myself in the flow of the divine process in me, and then I can deal with these things without being enslaved by them. Now, this is the important thing. Now, you may say, but what you suggest takes an awful lot of concentration. You may say it takes a lot of years to learn to concentrate. It really doesn't. Concentration is as natural to every person as breathing. You may say, I can't concentrate. That isn't true. When was the last time you were worried about something, or afraid, or filled with a sense of injustice, or envy, or personal hurt? You concentrated like nobody. Nobody told you how. You didn't have to learn how. It was natural. It's natural to man. So it's really a matter of what you give attention to. This is all. To what you focus on. You can, if you want to, focus on the things in the world. You can focus on the things that people don't do and how people hurt you and everybody's terrible and in these times you just don't believe what a terrible situation it is. You can focus on those things if you want. Or you can get yourself still, light the inner fire, warm your own hearth, as it were, warm the room of your life. Life is consciousness. Your world is really the world of your thinking. So what is your thinking? And so when your inner light is on and you're focused on this divine process flowing through you, then you look out here, and everywhere you see the north, south, east, and west, you see good, you see God. And that's why Jesus would say, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. You see from the consciousness of God. But the most important thing, when you're in this consciousness of focus, you begin to see things that are good and orderly and beautiful, and you begin to see in things, no matter what they outwardly appear, the beauty of spirit. You see beauty in ugliness and opportunities in all challenges, but you stand tall in all experiences, in the calm awareness of who you are. So instead of being at the mercy of changing experiences in life, You are the master because you are you, and you are the focus of an infinite idea, a living flame that flows forth from within you. And then you can know, as W.E. Henley so beautifully expresses it, in the fell clutch of circumstance, I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.